Hi guys, it's Millie with Millie's Vines. I am back today with a video I'm super excited about. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite or my top wish list plants. I'm super excited to be sharing this video. It was a lot of fun to do some research and kind of create a list of plants that I would love to have in my collection. For the format of this video, I am most likely going to use my phone while I'm recording and just kind of keep myself on track. I'm going to do some screen recordings I'm going to share on the screen so you guys can kind of follow along. So hopefully you don't mind the phone usage in the video, but I am going to have some wish list plants ranging from Philodendron to Hoyas to Dracaenas. The only thing I don't have on the list, there's a few things, but Anthuriums and Calathea I'm not like a big fan of, I'm not gonna lie, so they're not going to be on this list today. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I want to say hello to all my new subscribers. I'm so happy to have each and every one of you here. I'm so thankful to be creating my own little plant community, so super excited. Thank you guys, and let's get into the video. Okay guys, so let's get into this list. I will put out a disclaimer, this leaf is dying in the back, so I'm sorry, that's probably not the best background, but that's okay. I'm also again going to use my phone here to go through the screen recordings that I have, and I did want to take a moment to shout out this pop socket if it will focus. I got this from Houseplant Paradise. I'll see if I can tag them in my description. Super cool. It's very easy to attach. I really like it a lot, but let's get into this list. So I'm going to start, this isn't in any particular order, but I'm going to start with philodendrons. They're my favorite genus. My first one on the list that I'll show here is Philodendron verrucosum. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with this plant. It is just stunning to me. I love the silhouette of the exterior of the plant. I love how it's not super smooth. It almost has like wave-like textures. Love the red back. Love the fuzzy petioles. Heard they're kind of easy care too. I just think they're gorgeous, especially as they mature. If and when I get this plant, I will definitely grow it up some type of pole. They are climbers, they're not crawlers. I have a Philodendron pastisanum, that is a crawler, so it grows horizontally. This one grows vertically, which is much better if you're limited on space. It's just easier to size up the plant too because you don't have to take up horizontal space. So I love this plant. Cannot wait to hopefully own this plant one day. It's beautiful. You can see most of these again are on like a moss pole or something like that so they can climb. Really important for this plant. It also has the velvety texture, so I love it. And I think the price is kind of coming down to where it's manageable. It's not super unrealistic. So that is the first plant. My second plant, which I was contemplating on putting on here, but then I looked up the mature specimens of this and I was like, no, it has to be on this list. Philodendron melanochrysum. I thought it was kind of similar to the verrucosum, but honestly, the mature silhouette of this is insane. You can see on some of these pictures, I mean, they get like 2 to 3 feet long. There are like literal shields. The back color, the backside too, is more of like an orangey red, and I just think size-wise, they're insane. I can't think of like where the heart shape, I can't think of what that name is of that top piece of the plant. It's just stunning. I love the silhouette. This one I really would want to size up. I think it's nice and cute as an adolescent plant, but I really would want a mature specimen like the one here that Sydney has. It's just stunning, and it's matte. It's got the velvet like sheen to it. Such a gorgeous plant. I would love to have this one, and the way the light is hitting this right now is just insane. I probably need a much bigger area for plants once I get into these, but that is on my list too, and it's pretty high up. Next, we are going to talk about the Philodendron Splendid. Wildfern is one of my favorite YouTubers. I absolutely love her. She's got a gorgeous specimen of this. This plant, I will say it's kind of similar to the verrucosum, so I would say I probably would prefer to have the verrucosum over the Splendid, but this plant is gorgeous too, and I feel like what I've heard about Philodendron Splendid is it's pretty easy to take care of, so I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to put it on this list. It seems like it's just one of those happy to be here, easygoing plant, so I had to put it on here just for a good measure. Really pretty. They get really big too. Matte, velvet. They're just a really nice plant. I will say this plant is probably going to be one of the top ones on my list. Philodendron Spiritus Sancti. I'm not totally sure how to say that. This plant is insane to me. I mean, you can see the size of this leaf right here. They are like 2 to 3 feet long. They are super like narrow and slender. I just think they really stand out to me. They're gorgeous, and they almost give me, I think it's anthuriums that can have those strappy, like leather looking leaves. This gives me those vibes, but it's a philodendron, so it's probably much more hardy and easy to care for. I love this plant so much. I think the one thing I could see being an issue is it might get kind of leggy and it might kind of grow all over the place, but it's just such a gorgeous plant. I would be willing to figure any and all things out for this. And it's just beautiful. So again, this is, when I speak on this plant, it's more of like a mature specimen. Still would love to start small and kind of grow it myself, but would love to have this plant. It's stunning. Okay, next on my list is the Philodendron SP Silver. I think this has been renamed a bunch of times. I'm not totally sure what it's called now. This one was a little bit hard for me to find footage of on Instagram, but of course Wild Fern has one. Hers is beautiful. I think, actually I don't want to speak on this. I don't know if this is a climber or if it's a crawler. I want to say it's a climber. I'm not sure. I'm really leaning towards climbers for this because I just don't have too much horizontal space. So I love this plant. Anything that's silver, I love. Syndapsis, just anything that really has like a silver sheen, I think is beautiful. I'm showing Wild Fern again just because I could really only find hers, but it gets giant. It has very pillowy leaves. It looks like air-like. Oh, I just think it's gorgeous, and I think it would stand out against some of the others that I have on this list just because of the undertone. It's super cool. And it's beautiful, and I love it, and I would love to have that one day. So next on my list, I was uncertain if I wanted to put this one on it, but I've seen it, and I don't know. I think it's gorgeous, so I'm going to leave it here. Philodendron mayoi, not sure how to say that. I love this plant. I've seen it in greenhouses before, and it's stunning. I do think similar to the, I'm forgetting the one that I just showed, Samurai, whatever that one's called. It kind of seems like it could be leggy, so I think you'll have to be very aware of how you grow this and making sure you're chopping it down if it starts to get leggy, making sure you're giving it enough light. But I think aesthetically this is a really pretty plant, and it just looks so different than everything else that I have. It's really pretty. Would love to have it. It's probably not top on my list, but I do know every time I see it in a greenhouse or just out and about, I'm like, wow, that plant is so interesting. So yeah, that one's on the list too. It's worth noting. All right, next we are going to go into the Monsteras. So I tried to give you guys some variety because I am a big philodendron person, but Monsteras are slept on often. And the first one, I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm going to put it on the screen, but Philodendron elastico? I have no idea. I'll put the name on the screen. This plant is stunning. It's like a giant version of the Addisonii, but just imagine it like 2-3 feet long. You can see the venations in here, or not, the fenestration, excuse me. They are giant. The silhouette of this plant is just immaculate. Like, I don't even have words for it, honestly. And if I was ever to see this in person, oh, I would just love to have one of these. Again, it grows vertically. This big picture of just the one leaf is wild to me. That plant is gorgeous. I want to say, I think Benji has something, I don't know if it's this exact variety, but he has some form of Monstera that's just really pretty silhouette-wise, and I love this plant. I think it's very unique. I don't have anything like it. I don't even have an Addisonii, so this would be an excellent one to add to my collection. I also like the darker leaves, like it's just super saturated, dark green. I think that is gorgeous. It's beautiful, and I'm literally staring at this plant right now, so gotta move on to the next one. Okay, and then on the Monstera wavelength, the Subpanata is another one that I really like. It's similar to the Philodendron mayoi. I still don't know how to say that, so sorry. It has similar vibes. It's all separated. It kind of reminds me of like a more full version of the Philodendron tortum almost. It has that same aesthetic, but maybe more clean and organized looking. I think this plant's really pretty, and there's one in particular that I show here that is just structurally really pleasing. So it's almost like a tree variety. I think it's really pretty. If you had, this is the picture that I wanted to show. This is what I would want if I had that plant. So I'd work very hard to get it to look like that. But it's so pretty. I love just the leaf pattern. It looks very unique. It's a Monstera. It's a good climber. So I think that would be a unique one that I would love to add to my collection. It kind of reminds me of just like a fishtail, like mermaid Monstera. I really like that one.
All right, now we're going to get into Hoyas. I know some people either love or hate Hoyas. I absolutely love them. They are slow growers, but they are worth it, and they bloom eventually, and they just have so many good features. So this one that I'm getting into, I do not know how to pronounce it, but I think it's Hoya ciliatus. I have no idea. I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm not a scientist, guys, not a plant scientist, so don't give me a hard time there. But this one is so cool. It's speckledy. I don't even really know if this is real or accessible, but if there's like a red Hoya like this, I would love to have it. I love how like warm this is, and I think my understanding is they start off either green and turn red, or they start off red and turn green. Either way, I'm into it. They look beautiful, and I don't even really like it for the flowers. I just like it for the actual like leaf. It looks really pretty. I don't have anything red. I also think this would look really nice if it was sun stressed. So that's a Hoya that I'm not super familiar with, but would love to have in my collection. The good thing about Hoyas too is they don't get super big, so it's easier to have a lot of Hoya in a small space. So that's another benefit of Hoyas. This is probably right up there. It's probably my second biggest wishlist plant right now. And I think this is kind of attainable, but it's the Hoya Linearis. I love this plant. I want it so bad. I can't even describe how bad I want this. I think it is so pretty. It's so dainty. It's so delicate. I love the linear like format of it. Oh, it just looks stunning. I think it's kind of like medium as far as like difficulty of care. I don't think it's too bad. I would anticipate it's a little bit more thirsty than most Hoyas, but I would love to have a trailing pot of this, just like water falling over, a really beautiful pot. Obviously it would be a hanging basket. If it bloomed, that would be even better. I just love this plant so much. I know some people are into like ripsalises, and they have like a lot of different, almost like a similar vibe to this, but to me, I think the Hoya Linearis looks very just clean and manageable, and it doesn't tangle as much. Oh, I want it so bad. I can't stop looking at this one. But yes, this is a plant that not only is it a wish list plant, it's more like a need. Like I need this plant in my collection. So that's Hoya Linearis. And then I think this might be my last one, Hoya Wilbur Graves. I sometimes with Hoyas, you only can buy these things like overseas. I'm not really sure, but this plant is gorgeous. If this is a real thing, I need this. I don't have too many silver Hoyas. I love anything silver again. This plant is gorgeous. The speckling and just how silver it can get is wild to me. I think this plant is gorgeous. I've heard of like Philodendron Silver Dollar too. I looked that one up. That one looked really nice as well. The blooms are super cute. I don't know. I just think that Hoya is so cool looking. And then, oh, I have two more on my list. So Dracaena reflexa, that's the next one we're going to get into. I couldn't find what I was looking for. I technically have a Dracaena reflecta, but it's very small. Benji Plants, if you guys watch him, I talk about him all the time. He has a giant Dracaena reflexa in the corner of his spot, and it looks stunning. That is exactly what I would want. Even like right here, if I had a giant one and it was kind of solo doing its own thing, I think it does a lot architecturally to a space. And I just think the pop of color and just the way that it grows so organically, oh, I don't think there's anything else like it. And I want a tree so bad in my collection, and I think that's probably what I would go for. I'm not a big ficus person. Fiddle leaf figs, I have no interest in that, but this in a big tree version, I would absolutely love to have, so I had to put that on here. And then my last one that I love, I have a Cebu Blue in my collection, but it's super small and it's trailing. So my goal is eventually, when I have space for a whole bunch of climbers, which hopefully is soon, I would love to either stake, most likely I would just stake the one that I have up and see if I can get it to fin straight. You'll see in these pictures, this plant can get so big that it's almost not even recognizable. I've seen it in greenhouses before and mistaken it for other things. Cebu Blue can get so impressive when it's bigger, so that is an absolute goal for me. I think honestly this plant is probably one of my top 3 as well. Just the color, how clean and simplistic it is. Oh, I just love this plant. So that's definitely a goal. Like I said, I already have it. I just am not allowing it to climb. So once I have the space for that, that is for sure something I'm going to get into.
Alrighty guys, so that is it. Those are my top wish list plants. This list will probably be subject to change again as I just keep collecting plants longer and longer, but those are my current favorites. I would love if you guys would share in the comments what was your favorite out of my wish list, and then any wish list plants that you guys have, I would love to look into. I would love to know more. So feel free to leave those in the comments. Thank you guys so much for the engagement. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for watching the video. Until next time, thank you guys.